With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Having a life scholarship and being able to afford to go to college made me feel inspired to go.
When I got a life scholarship, it was such a relief.
I knew that I wanted to have an impact. Having a life scholarship through the SC Education Lottery was huge. It gave me the opportunity to make that impact right here at home.
The South Carolina Education Lottery. A better you, a better us, a better South Carolina. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
This is a paid advertisement from BetterHelp. Let's pause and take a moment to talk about something very important. Life has its pressures for everyone, and we often carry the immense weight of expectation to never show weakness, to hide our true feelings, and believe that asking for support somehow makes us less of a person. But bottling things up isn't the answer. It can often lead to feeling down, burnout, or other unhealthy habits. We want to normalize the idea that it's okay to struggle. Real strength actually comes from opening up about what you are carrying and doing something about it so that you can be at your best for yourself and everyone in your life. If you're feeling the weight of the world, or even if things just feel a bit off, I can't stress enough the value of talking to someone. It could be a friend, a loved one, or a therapist. We here at This Week Explained believe that therapy can be incredibly valuable. Whether you've been in therapy personally or not, the broader benefits are clear. It's so helpful for learning positive coping skills, understanding how to set healthy boundaries, and it really empowers you to be the best version of yourself. And it's so important to remember that therapy isn't just for those who've experienced combat or major trauma. It's a tool for anyone looking to improve their mental well-being and navigate life's challenges. That's why we're thrilled to talk about BetterHelp. With over 5,000 therapists in the UK, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it clearly resonates with users, boasting an App Store rating of 4.9 out of 5 stars based on over 1.7 million client reviews. It's also incredibly convenient. You can connect with a therapist at the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy schedule. And you can even switch therapists at any time if you feel it's not the right fit. And here's something special for our listeners. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp is offering our listeners 10% off their first month. What are you waiting for? Talk it out with BetterHelp. Once again, our listeners get 10% off their first month by going to betterhelp.com/thisweek. That's BetterHelp.com/thisweek.
Welcome to another special edition of This Week Explained. That is now 2 within the month of June, and it's because, as everyone was probably going to sleep on Saturday night, I was waking up Sunday morning. The United States got involved with the Israeli strikes on Iran. Now, we will put out an episode. It will be delayed a bit as I unpack everything that's happened overnight. But I just wanted to put out a very brief episode just to let everybody know what's going on from an intelligence perspective, give a little bit of an update, and then possibly what this means. But we're going to go a lot more in-depth later on once we do the full podcast, and Tiana has tons and tons of questions about why the U.S. got involved. What does this mean for the future? And I know you guys have those same exact questions. So we're going to get into all of that later this week when we put out the full episode. But I thought it'd be very important to get an episode out right now, just to let everybody know that this has happened. Does this mean everybody's talking about war and we're now at war with Iran? Does this mean war? What's the difference between conflict and between war? And as people have joked over the last few years of ending the global war on terrorism, and this was a continued and sustained conflict the United States has been in across the globe to prevent future terrorist attacks within the United States. So if you're wondering why Congress has the ability to allow the president to declare war, the president cannot unilaterally decide to declare war on a country. That's where this fits in to that decision making and the ability for President Trump to declare these strikes on Iran. So let's backtrack a little bit. Well, how did all of this begin? As we all know, Israel began to strike Iranian nuclear sites, and they assassinated various nuclear scientists and key leaders because they said that they had intelligence that within the next few weeks to months, Iran was ready to make a nuclear weapon that they would then use on Israel. That started a chain of events that gave President Trump questions on whether the U.S. would get involved. The U.S. said that they would get involved defensively to help Israel protect itself, but would not strike within the borders of Iran. After saying that, President Trump then said Iran should come back to the negotiating table, negotiate in good faith, and get a nuclear deal in place. Otherwise, in the next 2 weeks, the U.S. may or may not strike various sites in Iran. That was a few days ago, and now the U.S. has performed those strikes. And so what are U.S. military aircraft and missiles targeting within these strikes? And it is most notably the Fordo nuclear site, which is a top secret underground nuclear facility. And Israel has no capability to do any damage to that site because it is too far underground. However, the United States has weapons that allows for the United States to target those facilities or that particular facility, penetrate with bunker-busting bombs, and destroy the facility. Now, as of this moment, obviously, there are conflicting reports. You've got on one side President Trump, as always, with Trump-hyperbole, saying it was a great, beautiful strike that destroyed all the facilities completely. And you have Iran, obviously, coming from a different angle, saying that they actually moved everything out from those facilities, and the only thing that was destroyed were the entrance and exits of the facility. So the facility stays intact. And the only damages are to the entryways and exits. Who's correct in that? Well, it's going to take a long time for us to know because we're going to need satellite imagery. And from an open source perspective, we're going to need unclassified open source imagery. Now, does the U.S. have certain assets that they can use to do battle damage assessment and identify what actually happened? Obviously. And obviously, those are classified. We're not going to know that from a layman's perspective or from a civilian perspective for a long time. And when I say a long time, in the world that we live in now of instant news, anything more than a day is a long time. As I woke up early this morning from my undisclosed location, I woke up to the news very early, and as it was happening, and the continuous back and forth of thousands of tweets, hundreds of thousands of tweets, thousands of Telegram messages, and everyone's saying one thing or another. So the fog of war will clear, and we are going to understand more of this, and that's more of the reason why we are going to wait to put out an episode. So we did the what happened, right? So we did the what so far. Now the so what. What does this mean? Well, obviously it means that Iran needs to decide whether they will retaliate. What does that look like? Well, right now, no one knows. Iran's going to have to make that decision. The U.S. is being very loud about telling Iran, do not retaliate. Take this as your final warning. Just you let this happen. We can stop. No more strikes. We're not going to, the U.S. saying we're not going to assassinate the Supreme Leader Khomeini. We're going to stop right here because we have destroyed your nuclear facilities. We have now very much diminished your ability to create a nuclear weapon. Come back to the negotiating table. Let's stop all of this. Now, Iran will say they have a right to defend themselves and to retaliate. And they have to do this to show face to their people and honestly to the rest of the Middle East. Iran was seen as one of the largest threats in the Middle East to countries like Saudi Arabia, Jordan, the Gulf states like Qatar. But now they are completely weakened. Their proxies, most all of their proxies have lost their leadership. Much of the leadership within the IRGC is gone. And so they are very weakened now, and they can decide to show strength, to show outward strength by retaliating. As I'm speaking right now, they are sending rockets to Israel, but that does not show strength towards the United States. And so what would that look like? Mainly, it would look like attacks on U.S. bases within the Middle East, most notably bases within Iraq, targeting U.S. troops, targeting U.S. naval assets. We just had 2 new aircraft carriers from the Indo-Pacific join into the Middle East. And so what do we do from here? What does Iran do? Do they do a brief, quick retaliation, targeting certain areas where they know U.S. troops will not be harmed or injured, and then they can frame that to their people as we retaliated against this, and we can now stop? I think that's a miscalculation. I think we are in a situation where there's a tit for tat, and so if Iran decides to retaliate, that's going to be met with the full force of the U.S. military. If Iran makes a strategic miscalculation and they strike U.S. ships within the Middle East, I think we are at the moment of a full-scale war. I think it would be very brief. The sheer amount of U.S. presence within the Middle East right now that can hit Iran from all angles, and you have Israel as well, striking from within the borders of Iran. I think it would be a miscalculation, and Iran, the regime as we know it right now in Iran, would be no more, and a new regime would start. Now, Trump has been adamant in public that he does not want to start. He does not want to see regime change within the borders of Iran. So you've got to take him at his word, what he's saying. And so I think Khomeini in Iran needs to think about what's going on here. If it were me, if I was the leader of Iran and had gotten this far, I might start considering having that sit down and decide that, as of right now, nuclear weapons may not be a strategic benefit to us. So we'll see what happens there. Now, on the flip side to that, what does this mean for China, right? I think not enough people are talking about what could happen with China getting more aggressive towards Taiwan, knowing that that invasion is a time clock. It's a ticking time clock, or a ticking time bomb. And it's a race from one side of the island of Taiwan to another. That's for the People's Liberation Army. When I say that, I mean, once indications are that China is invading Taiwan, the United States military is racing in the Indo-Pacific to get assets in place in order to go after the People's Liberation Army and push back against this attempt for a takeover of Taiwan. We have 2 aircraft carriers that were moved from the Indo-Pacific into the Middle East. So that's 2 military assets. It's 2 less military assets in the Indo-Pacific, and that is a much further race towards Taiwan than they would typically be at. So what is China going to do? We're going to talk about that on the podcast when that comes out. I want to see what the indications are over the next couple days to see what China is doing, because I think it's very important to look at that. This is not just about the Middle East right now. What we are looking at, we are racing towards a global conflict. We talk about World War III, everything's going to start World War III, and it is never one particular singular event that we can look back to and say, yes, this is the exact moment that it started. It's always, this is something that happened and it led to a chain of events that in the end started a global conflict. We still have the war in Ukraine, with Putin publicly saying he's ready to take more land within Ukraine. He wants to take more cities and make them Russian cities again. So there's a lot going on. There's going to be a lot to get into this week for the podcast. And I think that's a good stopping point here. Good little update for everyone. I appreciate everybody listening. If you enjoy the podcast, please share with other people. Please put it out on social media. We're trying to get the word out here because I think we do something that's different from what most people do, which is an event happens, we rush to have an opinion on it without a lot of context. We do have opinions on the podcast. And we do rush to opinions, Tiana and I personally, among each other. But what we really try to do is flesh out those opinions, look at the truth in the matter, find the nuance, and present what's actually happening, as opposed to, yeah, I know this happened, but I really think this is going on. There's no, I really think this is going on. I come from an intelligence perspective where we bring in assessments. And those assessments that I usually use are from a probability scale. And so you'll never hear me say for certain that one thing or another is going to happen. I'm going to present various different avenues, various different bits of information, give an assessment on if it's unlikely, if this is possible, or if I'm thinking this is probably what's going to happen. So if you enjoy that, please push out on social media. Please tell your friends. The best thing is, as you're listening, whatever pod chase or podcatcher, podcast app you are listening from, if you would just go rate, review would be great, but you don't have to review. You don't have to spend a lot of time. Just rate it, give 5 stars, 4 stars, whatever. I do say if you give it 1 star, please let me know why. Please comment and let us know so we can fix those kind of things. But thank you. Thank you so much for listening. I wish I was coming on with some better news, but it looks like we're on the fast track to large-scale conflict, at least a regional conflict, I should say, not large-scale, a regional conflict in the Middle East, and we'll see if that leads to large-scale combat operations. So, as always, thank you so much for listening, and stay safe out there.
Having a life scholarship and being able to afford to go to college made me feel inspired to go.
When I got a life scholarship, it was such a relief.
I knew that I wanted to have an impact. Having a life scholarship through the SC Education Lottery was huge. It gave me the opportunity to make that impact right here at home.
The South Carolina Education Lottery. A better you, a better us, a better South Carolina. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Bubba Wallace here from 2311 Racing. Funny thing about being fast, you end up waiting a lot. First to show up, first in line, then just waiting. Me, I rev up Chumba Casino. With over 200 social casino games, no slow lanes here. Why sit around when you can spin? I'm already racing. Your turn. Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.